Hello everyone, this is Piyush Joshi, Senior Consultant Informatica. Today we are going to talk about cloud data validation. So the agenda of today's discussion is to discuss about cloud data validation, its capabilities, the license and PAM support, high-level components and features, the reports terminology, test case and test suite. So what is cloud data validation? Cloud data validation is a service in IDMC which is created or designed to help customers do the testing or validation during the migration or during their migration journey. So what it can do is you can compare the output of the mapping results between Power Center and IDMC, the CDI mappings. So what are the capabilities we have here? So the data validation test cases can be created to compare the mapping outputs. We can also create these test cases for specific requirements. Let's say for bad record limits, we can set a limit of bad records which are permissible for us. We can also do some string validation like trimming of spaces, or whether we can ignore the case sensitivity or not. As well, we can do some data sampling. If we do not want to run for the whole data sets, we can do a sample of records and run the test cases for that. We can also send email notifications to individuals or list of individuals about the test case execution and the reports. We can schedule the test cases and test suites accordingly to be executed at a particular time. And we can also log them at different level. We can also create test suites, which are basically set of test cases which can be executed simultaneously or in a sequence. We can also use the report of the test cases to view whether there are matched record, how many missing records, extra records, etc. So this gives a detailed report as well for our comparison purposes. So how a typical modernization journey would look like, right? Using DVO, what we can do is we have a power center setup where we have a Oracle source, then we do processing via power center, and the target is also an Oracle. But in our modernization journey, we have a source as Oracle, and we have moved our processing to IDMC, as well as our target system has also moved from Oracle to Snowflake. Now we have the tables or output tables in two different systems. One is Oracle, another one is Snowflake. So CDV helps us in automated comparison of the outputs of these two systems, right? If we do not use this automated process, then it would be cumbersome to compare these two data sets and it would be a hectic task. So CDV helps solve this problem. For licensing and packaging, you get data validation as part of the starter pack and also the edition pack. So we have CDI for Power Center edition, and you will see something like this in your license and packaging. Also, it has two components: DV processor and data validation service. So if you have these two in your license and packages part, then the data validation is enabled for you. For the PAM support and all, you can refer to these two documents for the supported endpoints as well. Coming back to high level components of data validation, cloud data validation, we have 4 components of it. One is data validation service. So data validation service is basically your data validation service which you see on the UI. It helps you in defining your validation rules, basically test case or test suites. It also has a backend mapping generation and MCT task for it. So every test case is in the backend is nothing but a mapping and corresponding MCT which helps it run and then provide us the output or the report. So we can also do the execution and monitoring from the data validation part. Next is data validation processor. It's nothing, basically, as the name suggests, it's a processor which is on the secure agent, which does the work or processing part. It also creates the summary and detailed reports, and also takes care of the reports generation and presentation on the UI. Then we have metadata store, which stores the test case definition and summary reports, and report data store, which stores report raw data. For terminologies, so in our previous example, we showed, so data validation will use two objects basically to compare. So one will say as connection 1 or left hand side or a source, and connection 2 would be on the other part would be a connection 2 right hand side or the target, right? And on the report we have some terminologies like matched records, mismatched records, etc. So what are matched records? Matched records are nothing but how many number of records match between your object 1 and object 2. Mismatched records, how many did not match between number object 1 and object 2, or connection 1 and connection 2. Extra records in connection 2. So let's say we have connection 1 as our reference, then how many additional records are there in connection 2 which are not present in connection 1. So that would be extra records in connection 2. Similarly, missing records in connection 2, which that means there are connection records which are in connection 1 but are missing in connection 2. So these are few basic terminologies of the report. We'll come into it in detail when we go for the demo. So for the demo purpose, we have created 3 test cases. One is a validation of data between a flat file and an Oracle table for string validations. Second one is validation between a flat file and Oracle objects with sampling option. And third one is between Oracle objects for aggregate function validation. So let's come back to test case 1, string validation, right? So here we have 2 data sets. Connection 1 is a flat file which has 8 records, and connection 2 is an Oracle table, customer data table, and here also we have 7 records, right? So one is having 8 records, another one is having 7 records. That's one difference. And in flat file you can see the address section has extra spaces in the starting, whereas in the Oracle table the spaces are not present. Then in flat file we have city as New York, which is in capital letter, but in table it is having capital and small letters. In for the Los Angeles one also, it has extra spaces in flat file, whereas in table it has one extra space in start and end. So this is our data, and let's create a test case for it, right? So first thing, you need to go to data validation and open, click new, and then you get 2 options, test case or test suite. So we are going to create test case. It opens up a form like this. You need to provide the name, the runtime environment, the location, and the report location where the report will be generated. Click next. Then we have a second tab called connection, where we need to configure the connections. So the connection 1 is we are going to compare a flat file. So it's a flat file connection. You need to provide a connection where your flat file is placed. Then connection 2 is your Oracle connection. So you need to give the connection for the Oracle database. Coming down, you need to select the object. The customer data underscore ff.csv is the flat file which we are going to compare with the table called customer data. Now, since it's a flat file, we also need to provide the formatting options. So here we have the formatting options as delimited. The delimiter is comma, test qualifier is double quotes, and we have a header also. So the data row is from row 2, and the labels have to be imported from the headers. So which is import from row, which is row number 1. Then click next. you go to the configuration section where we need to configure the test case, what columns we are comparing, etc. So for each connection, we need to select what are the fields which are available and then move them towards the right side in the selected fields. So we have selected everything basically. So we are going to compare each column. And we also need to define the primary key of the table in connection 1. It's not necessary to have a key existing on the database also, but you have to define a key in while creating a test case, because that is used to sort the data for comparison, right? So you can select one column or a multiple columns as well, a composite key. And in case you do not have a primary key or a column which can be used as for primary key, in that case you can use all the columns as well from the drop down here. You can select multiple columns from the drop down. Similarly, for Oracle table also for connection 2, we have selected all the columns which needs to be compared and the customer ID as a primary key. Click next, and then we go to mapping. Now we need to do the mapping of columns between connection object 1 and object 2. So here you can see we have table columns in connection 1, table column data type in connection 1, similarly table columns in connection 2 and their databases, their data types. So if the names are matching, it's easy to compare. Otherwise, if the names are slightly different, then you have to select from drop down and match them as per your requirements, what columns you want to compare. In the last column, it also tells you about the data type mismatch. So if the data types are not matching between the two objects, then it flags them as data type is mismatch and it marks them no. For example, here in the second record, the string 25 data type for last name and first name is string 25 data type, and whereas in the table for last name and first name it is string 200. So it is giving the difference and marking them as mismatch. Clicking on the next part, on the settings tab, here you can configure few things. For this particular test case, we are only configuring bad records of 100 records. It's a by default setting. You can also increase it to 500 or 1000 as per your requirement. And we are doing a string validation. There are two checkboxes. One is for ignoring the case. If you do not want the case sensitive thing, then you can select this, or if you want the records to fail for case sensitivity also, then in that case you can uncheck this. Similarly, if you want to ignore the spaces, then you can check this box so that the spaces gets trimmed. But if you want to include the spaces as well during comparison, in that case you can undo the checkbox, uncheck the box so that it gets the spaces also gets covered during the comparison. Once you have it, you can save it. Also, you can set the notifications. So if you scroll down, and you will also get an email notification option, and there are three options are there. One is you do not want to send any notification after the execution of this test case. You can use the default organization settings which you have done at the secure agent level for the notification part, or you can also do a custom notification where you can send it to individuals, or you can also set the email IDs for a list of people separated by comma. So if you use custom, at least one email address has to be provided here for success and failure notifications. You can click save, and then you can save and then run also. And when you run, you get your details like this. You have the test case, which is the location, the timestamps, who created, what's the runtime, what's the connection 1 detail, what's the connection 2 detail, what are the connection 1 object and connection 2 objects. On the jobs tab, you can see the execution of the job or the test case, when it was started, when it ended, what are the matched records, what are the unmatched records, etc. When you click on the view report, you will see a detailed report here which will tell you the similar details, and in the detailed report you can see how many are the total records. So as we showed you in the data initially, connection 1 has 8 records, connection 2 has 7 records. And what are matching results? So total records matched are 5, total records mismatched are 2, extra records in connection 2 is 0. As you see, connection 2 has one less record, so missing records in connection 2 is 1. It also shows you a graphical representation of it. Below you can see the row counts are not matching, so it is marked as mismatch. And from the column level comparison, the addresses match, the city match, the country match, the create date matches. However, the currency for few columns does not match. That's where is shown as a mismatch. If you click on the unmatched records in the report, you will see that these two records in connection 2 have USD as currency, whereas in connection 1 it's not USD. I guess that's where they are marked as wrong. So it also shows what is unmatched, and you can then verify your mapping for the issues. And it also shows the missing record which is present in connection 1 but not present in connection 2. So this is the record which is present in connection 1 but not present, which is missing for connection 2. So coming back to the next test case, we have for the sampling scenario. So in this case, what we want is we do not want to compare the whole table data set, right? We just want to compare a few records out of whatever X number of records we have even in our objects tables basically. So here we have two objects. One is a flat file customer data ff underscore csv which has 94 records, and the customer data table which is having 94 records. However, we do not want all the records to be compared. So what we do is we create a test case as the same steps lot like how we do it in the previous one. So step 1 to 7 will be same. However, in the settings tab we will have uh, a option for data sampling. So you have bad records, we have set 100. We do not want to do a string validation. We do want to consider the case, and we also want to consider the space. Hence we did not check these two boxes here for this scenario. And next is data sampling. So we do want to do data sampling. So how we want to do? We want to do a where clause. So you can select the second option. When you click on the second option, where clause, this window opens, which is there in the right side, where you can set the where clause for connection 1 and connection 2. We have set this as customer tier equals to bronze for both, right? And then click on continue and save and run. When you run the report for this case, what happens is you can again see the sampling option. Where clause for connection 1 is customer bronze, and where clause for connection 2 is also customer tier equals to bronze. Now if you see, connection 1 has 94 records, connection 2 has 94 records. However, with the where clause customer tier equal to bronze, we have only total records which are 16. Out of 16, 13 are matching and 3 are mismatch. So you see the total records matched are 13, total records mismatched are 3, and there are no extra or missing records in connection 2. So with the customer tier equal to bronze, we had 16 records out of 94, and for those only the comparison was done. So count is matching, the address is matching, the city is not matching, company and country and currency are not matching. So I guess city is not matching because we have not checked the ignore case and space option. So that's where I guess the city New York and Los Angeles were failing. You can check the details in the report as well when you select the options. The next test case would be aggregate function. So we can also do comparison on the aggregate at the aggregate level, like we can do min, max, count rows, min, max, average, and sum. So based on the column data type and column the type of column, we can use these aggregate functions. So for example, customer ID, we can do min and max. For customer tier, we might want to do count or count of rows. And for order amount, we can do min amount, max amount, average amount, sum of the total, etc. So here also again we do a create tab, create new test case, and fill in the details accordingly. In this case, we are selecting the two Oracle tables. Now, in the mapping tab, you come here and you have connection 1 columns, their data types, and then connection 2 column, their data types. And now we can define the functions. So what functions we want to do on these two columns. So for customer ID, we are doing minimum function and max function. For customer tier column, we want to have count of rows and the total count. On order amount, we want to do min, max, and average and sum. So you can define the functions here, and for all these four functions, the test case will be providing the results. You save and run it, and then you can see the report. We have total comparisons 8, total functions matched is 5, total function mismatched are 3. So let's see how the report look like below for the individual columns. For the average function, the average was implemented on the order amount column. So order amount is not matching with the order amount of connection 2, and the values are difference, hence the unsuccessful match. Similarly, for the count of customer tier, the count of customer tier matches. The count of total rows is also matching. The max we had the max we have applied on customer ID and order amounts, and for both these columns the max function is matching. The min function we have applied on customer ID and order amount. For customer ID it is matching, but for the order amount it is not matching between connection 1 and connection 2. For some order amount is not matching between connection 1 and connection 2. So that's how we see the aggregate functions also being used here. For test suites, you can also create test suites, which basically are nothing but a set of test cases executing in a particular order as defined in test suite. You can click on new, select test suite, a form will appear, you can give name and the location, you can give description, and you can select this plus sign to add the test cases you want to be them to be included in this test suite. So this is the name, this is the location, and we have selected these test cases as part of this test suite. You can save and then run, and when you run the test suite, it will give you a detailed report of each test case, how records have been matched, mismatched, or extra report, etc. And you can also see detailed report for each individual test case here. Thank you.